Hi out there. Welcome to SuperSoul Boulder, episode 51. And I'm your host, Dr. Lara Johnson from Yellow Brick Physical Therapy here in Boulder, Colorado. And happy Memorial Day, a very unusual Memorial Day because here in Boulder, we usually have the Boulder 10K, one of the largest road races in the country, in the world. I'm not sure what the stats are these days. What a great day to still, even though things are so different, to still honor the service men and women who have done so much for us over the years. And isn't it interesting now to also become aware of the servicemen and women in other arenas that maybe we take for granted? Hey, Hannah, drivers and grocery store workers and you name it, who are also courageously doing their job for the benefit of so many of us. So, thanks for that to all the you people out there doing what you do to provide something for each other, right? And the more we come together, the better we can be, especially during difficult times, especially during unusual, uncertain times. So this topic was really interesting to me. So once again, if you're just jumping on, welcome to SuperSoul Boulder, where we talk about everything mind, body, spirit, health, and wellness. I like to bring all those things together in a particular way. So we'll talk about the body as it relates to life as it relates to your body. The body is such a tangible, hey Milo, your body is such a tangible way to think about life, right? It's like a really good tangible metaphor or example for other things that are going on. And since that's what I studied for so many years, that's what I like to bring in. And what I get excited about, inspired about is your life and and everyone's lives and how we can live it so much better if we bring all those components together. So that's the reason. So as you may have seen in the topic, I listened to 2 podcast interviews yesterday or over the weekend, and in both of them they talked about how this is such an interesting time with COVID-19, with the coronavirus, where what other time, or in our lifetimes anyway, has the whole world been quote unquote sent to their room, right? The isolation. And it's really, I think it's a great way to put it. I mean, I want to not discount or definitely acknowledge all the suffering going on. And what I think is really challenging is those who are dealing with death and dying up close and really personally, and not being able to see their loved ones, and how hard that is for many out there. And that is certainly going on. And for a majority of the rest of us, there's an isolation happening. Whether there's there's so many hardships, right? Work hardships, financial, there's all this going on. But so while acknowledging that, I wanted to talk about this potential of what happens when the whole world more or less gets sent to their room, or gets a timeout. And so how do you think? And you guys definitely hop in, comment, let me know what you're thinking about this. But I just think back to, I wasn't a perfect kid. Hey, Carlos. I was really more or less a good kid, but I also had my moments of frustration where when we're a kid, our parents did something most likely to help teach us, right? For some of us, it was being sent to your room. So that's kind of the example I'm using. So, go to your room. When you go to your room, you probably feel really upset, angsty, maybe shameful, maybe blaming. My parents don't get it, and my brother or my sister, kind of get into the little kid mind, right? My brother and sister, it's their fault, and now my parents didn't see that. And maybe some people that you see are feeling that way, hey, in the world right now with all this going on, so-and-so doesn't get it, and we shouldn't be doing this, and da-da-da. There's all kinds of opinions and thoughts going on around, and that's natural, and that's normal, and there's a lot of probably layers and backstory to peel away around all of that. But the interesting thing, I think, is, okay, so we're in that mode, or not liking that. Hey, Natoya, sent to your room, you don't want it, but what happens potentially, right? When we get a timeout, get sent to our room, we have to be still. to back up a second. The thing we want to, it's punishment because we don't get to play. We don't get to do what we want to do. You don't get to watch TV. You don't get to, you're grounded, you're sent to your room, you're put in timeout. You don't get to do what you want to do. So this time might feel like that for a lot of people. When I look back upon it, it might be like, you can't go to the gym. You can't go to a movie. You can't go hang out with your friends. It can be like being sent to your room. It can be like a little timeout. But what happens when you have that, and this is a great part of it, if we can see this and we can really acknowledge it, and maybe some of you out there are experiencing some of those silver linings that have gone on in this unexpected timeout from your usual life, the usual way you do things. And what happens is there might be a stillness, right? There might be, you have to be with yourself, or you have to be with your family or your kids or your husband and your wife, or in ways that you haven't experienced or haven't had to experience before. I had a friend, I love this story. She said, with her young kids, she has a couple young kids, and she said, usually I find some way to take them somewhere, to do something together, to be entertained. And without that, she's like, my kids played in a puddle for an hour. They got bored. They had to be creative, and they played in a puddle for an hour, right? Some of us remember the days of playing with refrigerator boxes and going outside. And I used to make these mud pies and a Frisbee, and we had these mint leaves outside and put mint in them. And maybe a lot of that's still happening right now or it usually happens for a lot of people, but that's what's possible. When we get a little bored, we might get a bit creative too. And think about, I'm going to go into that kid mode again, right? So when we're a kid and you're sent to your room, you get this, you probably hate it. You probably want to fight it. Maybe you want to pound on the door or get really mad. And once that passes, once the reaction passes, if it passes, you probably, calm down, soothe, reflect, think about. The whole point, right, for my parents out there, you know it's good for your kids. For what reasons? They might have to reflect or be with themselves. They might do that naturally as they become still. And my mom actually used to tell this to us. I actually really love this way of putting it. She, instead of, if my sister and I were being unruly or something, or not behaving properly, she'd say, be still. And now looking back, I really like that phrasing because, it has a niceness and I think that's the point, be still. And the most, so I heard this on those podcasts that inspired me on this topic yesterday too. Some of the worst actions in the world happen when someone can't be still or can't maybe be with themselves, or it's like the difference between reactivity and being able to be with what is. So in this time where you may have been limited in the things you've been able to do, the whole world has been sent to the room, there's huge opportunity in people individually and collectively getting more in touch with themselves, more connected to themselves and what's going on inside, being more connected and in touch with the people in their lives that they're closest to, people in your life that you're closest to. And I'm curious what else is coming from that. So let's take this into the body. So when I was thinking about this, I realized that's kind of how a lot of people feel when they're injured or in pain or have some sort of setback where you can't do what you want to do. And it can be super frustrating, at least for those of us who like to be really active. And or maybe, if you're feeling, I see this in a lot of my patients too, if you're feeling a lot of pain, you just can't do the normal things you want to do. But even bending down to tie your shoes is painful. And then it leads to this, the things you would normally take for granted, reaching up to a shelf or bending down to tie your shoes or walking normally or not worrying about the problem. It can feel like being forced into some sort of timeout. You can't do the usual things you need to do. And some of us will continue to do that and maybe make the problem last longer than it would otherwise, and potentially because you risk making the problem last longer by continuing to be active in ways that are contributing to the problem. And so you have an injury, you're in pain, you don't like it, you can't do the things you want to do, you can't see your friends. So in my experience, a lot of it was around running, or I did a lot of other things too, weightlifting, swimming, all sorts of stuff. But running especially, if I had an injury, it was super frustrating because I couldn't see my friends and I couldn't progress the way I wanted to. I couldn't race the way I wanted to. I loved doing those things. I loved, I wanted to see what I was capable of, and I really, really wanted to keep going. So an injury would feel like this frustrating timeout where like I didn't even want to accept it, and I keep cross-training like crazy, and which means like being in the weight room and in the pool and doing all the stuff, which isn't wrong or bad or otherwise. It just means sometimes the timeout is a good thing. Sometimes the timeout is a good thing because you get a chance to discover something else. When I finally let myself, this is 5 or 6 years ago, let myself just stop all the, not just running, but, and I'm not saying everyone has to do this either, but stop running and all lower extremity repetitive exercise, because I realized I needed to do what I was telling my patients to do, right? I didn't want to be a hypocrite. I wanted to live into what I was sharing that I knew worked for people. And then I got to experience that it did. I also got to experience, who am I besides this, who I take myself to be? I'm not just a runner. I love music, and I love playing music, and I love my family, and I love supporting people, all sorts of things. So sometimes, hey Justin, having an injury, a setback, and not everyone is like me. I have lots of patients who aren't crazy athletes like me who kept going and doing everything, but it still goes to be said, like the patient I saw today, he's an older gentleman who has back problems, and bending down to put his shoes on, like that can be painful. It can make you feel like that it could create more of a problem. So what you want to do is not ignore that and keep going and stay out of the room and keep pounding on the door and running around. I'm going to actually go with that timeout. Go with that reflection. Find the help. It might lead to insights. Find the help you need. Take care of your body in this way. Listen to what's going on. All those things can be super beneficial. So we go a little deeper and not just stay on the surface. There's a world of benefit there, right? We have the horizontal world on the surface where we're going. It's got past and future. We've got the vertical journey of deepening and becoming more aware of yourself, becoming more in tune with yourself. And in my humble opinion, that's a one huge way to stay healthy for a sustained amount of time. So long-term health and wellness, injury prevention, staying uninjured. I love seeing people stay healthy long-term and truly heal fully. So I like to help them do. I hate seeing people go down the wrong path of being injured or re-injured and getting quick fixes that don't work, or just for the short term and don't last long term. So anyway, I digress. I get a little lost in the body part. So being injured might feel like a timeout or being sent to your room, but that's okay, because then you get a chance to overcome. You get a chance to learn something. You get a chance to meet people who might help you and might be an influential part of your life, and vice versa. That's what I find with a lot of my patients. And then collectively, right, in this time period right now with COVID-19, with all that's going on, all the confusion and uncertainty, how many of you have found benefit in the time you've spent not doing the usual things, not doing the usual routine? I know I can feel, as things are starting to open up and I feel the speed pick up a little bit more, I almost miss the slowness. So I'm finding this desire to keep that balance, right? Be really aware of how much I'm speeding up or needing to kind of go back to the usual ways, and wanting to keep some of that space and some of that time, build that time and space between things in, because it's felt so healthy and beneficial. So where in your life is a timeout benefiting you? What has happened in this time of change that you've discovered? Maybe it wasn't easy. It's not usually easy. The greatest things aren't easy. They're hard. The hard path is oftentimes a way to, growth and transformation, which I find to be very exciting. But doesn't mean it's easy. A lot of my parent friends with young kids, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so much. But they're probably discovering a lot in spending that time together. And those of us who are on our own more, and if you're able and willing to be with yourself more and be in silence more, there's a lot to discover there too. So I leave you with this, in addition to thanking those servicemen and women who were so courageous in their what they've done for our country, and the current men and women who are courageously supporting our country in so many ways and our communities in so many ways. Thanks to my dad, who's a Vietnam veteran, for everything he did and went through and saw. And for all of you, for all humans out there who are courageously being with what's happening right now, who are courageously in whatever feels scary for you right now. I invite you to see where in the timeout, where in the being sent to your room, was that a struggle? And where was it beneficial? Where is it a struggle? And where is it benefiting you so much? A little more time and space, potentially, depending on what's going on in your life, but hopefully more time and space to reflect, to connect to yourself a bit more, and to see what's really important. Thank you so much for joining me. Please, 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 I'd love to know your thoughts and comments. Comment below, let me know you're watching. And please join me every Monday night at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 Eastern for SuperSoul Boulder, where we talk about everything mind, body, life, and how to best live into your true potential. I'm Dr. Lara Johnson from Yellowbrick Physical Therapy in Boulder, Colorado. And my home, still so far, I think it's a little better than my office, to be honest. Enjoy your evening. Happy Memorial Day. And hang in there. Let me know how I can help. Take care. Bye.